Hello, this is Philip. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And I'd like to welcome you to this brief seminar where we will discuss stress management part 2. You know that stress is a word, okay? So it's just a word. Everything is based on words and language. You can use it or not. If this word benefits you, continue using it. But if using a different word makes things better, then choose a different word. After all, words have power. You know, if you're in the jungle and a tiger is chasing you, the adrenaline will flow. That's genetically ingrained in your DNA. It's called the fight, flight, freeze syndrome. And the response is normal. But if you work in a hospital, things are a little bit different. Still, this response is sometimes called for, such as in the ER, or in the ICU or during surgery. As a medical professional, you are responsible for the care of another, so you might feel quite similar to the boy running from the tiger. However, even though things are rough, you still have a choice. You can choose how you respond. Since you've been trained and educated, you can be better prepared for the future. So that's why we want to talk about preparation, because there is a lot of unpredictability involved in our environment. But if you can handle the unpredictability, you will become prepared. Step 1 is preparation. Here you can mitigate the element of surprise. You can alter the degree of unpredictability, and you can consciously prepare yourself in advance for any exterior events. You can therefore modify your interior response. Now, even though the event itself won't change, your ability to deal with the event will change. So I'd like to make a suggestion. First, let's make a list of all the different things that we need to work on, okay? First, let's make a list of all of the positive things we can do. These are things we love: feeling fulfilled, time with patients, feeling appreciated. After that, let's make a list of the negatives. Negatives are the things we don't like, the things that feel unpleasant or difficult, or that you're unprepared for. Then after that, you make a list of how you can prepare for these events, okay? Now, you know there's a cause and effect relationship between an event and how you respond. So what you do is, in the second part of this exercise, you will take the list of positives and expand it to include ways to get more of the things on this list. Next, you will take the list of negatives and expand that so that you know how to mitigate or eliminate the things on that list. This list will be called the list of options for mitigation. What can you do to minimize the risks involved in the negative aspects of different events? You can get support from patients. You can get assistance from admin and colleagues, and you can prioritize. Okay? So the reason we focus on this is we need to divide this list, the list of options for mitigation, into 2 parts. One part is called the Centers for Concern, and the other is called the Centers for Influence. The centers of concern are areas you want to change, but currently have no influence on. However, the centers of influence are the ones you can have an impact on now, so you work on those. You prioritize those items, and we will discuss ways to apply these changes in the future. In the meantime, you can brainstorm with colleagues, you can read books, you can study, and you can get support from a life coach like me. So what you basically will do is you will focus the 2/3 of your time on eliminating these negatives and 1/3 on maximizing the positives. So when I say eliminating the negatives, I mean realistically identifying them, predicting them, preparing for them, rehearsing various responses, and evaluating the consequences. You take baby steps. You shoot for maybe a 10% increase in the positive and decrease in the negative impact for each event. And then one by one, you will see progress. This will free up more time and energy, so you'll be able to focus on more negatives and at the same time maximize more of the positive, the things that bring you happiness, the things that make your life enjoyable. And you can reward yourself after each little baby step along the way, okay? So this way, you're taking a small change and you're making an improvement. This is referred to as step 1, which is called preparation. Now we'll go to the next part, which is step 2, which is called renaming. In this step, we learn by studying cognitive behavioral therapy as well as neurolinguistic programming that thoughts, feelings, and behavior are totally interconnected. They live and breathe together all the time. And it all starts with receiving data. Did you know that we receive from our 5 senses approximately 11 million bits of data per second? But we can actually only process within our own brain maybe 50 bits of data per second. That's less than 1,000th of 1%. Now, we have over 1 billion neurons in our brain, and our brain has a memory storage of billions and billions of bits of data. The point is, our thoughts are perceptions. They are beliefs. They are opinions. They are not facts. We form these opinions with the help of our parents, our culture, traditions, our language, education, experiences, and the DNA we have with its pre-programmed tendencies and proclivities. But the real world is infinitely larger and more complex than our generalized and simplified opinions and beliefs. Because actually we have to delete, distort, and generalize 99.999% of the data that we receive every single second. Now, this is the way things work, so I want to explain it to you a little bit deeper, okay? Once we receive data from an event, we have to make a decision based on cause and effect on how to appraise that data. So you focus on an already condensed version of that data. This data is then selected and you create your own reality. You create your own map of the territory. The territory, which is the real world, is quite different than the map that you create. So we make a preliminary or initial appraisal of the event. We have to make a decision. Is this event harmful or potentially dangerous, or is it harmless? Okay, so we make a preliminary appraisal. We decide if the event can harm us or not. Then we can stop. We can either continue on and impulsively act based on that preliminary appraisal, or we can stop for a few seconds and think carefully and make a secondary appraisal, a little bit deeper. Okay? This secondary appraisal involves things like logic, reasoning. It's a skill we can develop. We have the ability to rethink very carefully and decide what maybe it's not as dangerous as we thought. Maybe it's not dangerous at all. Don't forget, every response comes with the consequence. So, now the things that we dread are like what? Electronic health records, surprises, overtime, pre-authorizations. And the things we love are connecting with patients. We prefer the things we love to the things we dread. But we usually look at an event as filled with the things we dread. We are designed to protect ourselves, so we always focus on the negative. What could harm us? What could destroy us? Okay? But by changing your appraisal, you'll change your thoughts. By changing your thoughts, which you do by renaming them, you change your feelings. Okay? This is very, very essential. We have learned that when you move from thoughts to feelings to the release of neurotransmitters, which are chemicals, which signal reactions to your body, this is a naturally flowing process. It has been proven, even by researchers at Harvard University, that thoughts trigger a release of neurotransmitters. And thoughts are tied to language. So we can say, it's dangerous. Or we can say, I'm stressed out. Or we can say, this is challenging. Or this is an opportunity. Or this is interesting. Or how amazing. Or that's a surprise. We can change the words we use. We can rename the event. By renaming the event, it gives us a few minutes or a few more seconds to come up with a deeper, more logical, reasonable appraisal before we act. In other words, we can change our language. By using different words, this enables us to pause when necessary and reappraise the level of potential danger involved in the event. This is a great benefit because if we can modify our appraisal, we can free ourselves from automatically responding to preconceived perceptions, which are very likely to be limiting and inaccurate. These neurotransmitters, which include serotonin, oxytocin, cortisol, dopamine, GABA, histamine, acetylcholine, I'm sure you know better than me, all of the different neurotransmitters. They will affect us physiologically, emotionally, mentally, and socially. So from here, we have to act, okay? We have to make a choice. We have to make a decision, all right? So we will enter the third area later. What we do here was we translate this data, we synthesize it and categorize it. Then we release the data into our programming, which creates a software called appraisal, which leads to the release or denial of selected neurotransmitters, creating feelings which cause us to react and behave in a certain way. Based on this behavior, of course, there are consequences, either harmful, neutral, or beneficial. This is how stress works. Now, there is acute, momentary stress, and there is chronic, continual stress. The chronic stress can cause burnout or worse. So renaming it means you can change the words and the triggers. Basically, this is where we will stop now. In step 3, which will come up in the next series in this 3-part seminar, we will discuss opportunities and discovery. So I want you to stay tuned, okay? The point is that you can control your thoughts and your emotions and your behavior. You can reduce stress and control it. In fact, you need never be a victim. It is never hopeless. I look forward to seeing you again very soon. And if you're interested in reviewing a webinar where I will go into greater detail, click the link under the word webinar. And if you're interested in having a one-on-one free conversation with me, which is a free consulting coaching call, click the link in part 2. Okay? So either I will talk to you, or you'll see the webinar, or I'll see you on the next series, part 3, in stress management. Thank you again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.